Okay, I'm live on YouTube and Facebook. Whoops, go live. Okay. Okay. Okay, I'm just waiting for everyone to turn up. Alrighty. Hello. Just sitting here all by myself waiting for everybody. While we're waiting for everyone to turn up, I'd love to know where you're from. I'm here in Vancouver, Canada. So where are you from? Also, are you new here? Is this your first time here? Most people are regulars, but because I recognize a lot of the names. So where are you from? I'm in Vancouver. It was supposed to be raining today, but it's actually sunny. Did it rain earlier? I can't remember. I think I was at my desk all day. Anyway, just waiting here. Vancouver, Washington. So I'm Vancouver, Canada. I always thought Vancouver, Washington was really tiny, but it's not. It's like got about 1 million people or something. Jakarta, Indonesia. Welcome. I don't think I have any clients in Indonesia right now. Raining in Chicago, the Windy City. That's awful if it's raining and windy. Oh, God. You know, I don't like the wind at all because you can never predict your hair. My hair always stands straight up. And yeah. Saudi Arabia. I think I've got a client in Saudi Arabia right now. It's not you. Okay, I would recognize that name. New Jersey, welcome. Vancouver is growing, but not as big as Portland. Oh, okay. But Vancouver's in Washington, whereas Portland's in Oregon. So how big are you compared to Seattle? You're closer to Seattle, aren't you? Or are you down by the border? Anyway, I don't know. I should look at a map, shouldn't I? Buffalo, New York, welcome. Virginia, excellent, welcome. Okay, let's get going with your parenting questions. I'll just do my little intro. My name is Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on the link above, you can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp courses, or you can look into coaching. I have a wait list, but I'm taking on a few new clients right now. So, and it depends on the ages. So you might even get in today. I don't know. It depends on the age. I like to mix up the ages of the kids. Not your age, but your kids' ages. Okay. So let's get going with your parenting questions. Sorry, that's my washing machine going. I work from home. So just waiting for parenting questions. By the way, the best place to watch my lives is on YouTube because that's my smallest platform. I think I only have about 15,000 followers on there, which is a nice number, but you know, I've got really bigger numbers on other platforms. So I'm less likely to see your questions on the bigger platforms. Indianapolis, Indiana here. Welcome. I always think of racing. Is that Indiana? Is that a race? Yeah, I think, yeah, it is. Yes, it is. A racing place. Okay. So I'm just waiting for your parenting questions. I'm on my parenting. Oh, sugar. Am I on my business parenting channel? Because I keep going on my wrong channels today. And my daughter was on here. Is this the parenting, my BratBusters channel on Facebook? Please say it is, and it's not my personal one. New Brunswick, welcome. So I'm just waiting to hear. Is this Facebook channel my parenting one, or is it my personal one? I don't think you can do lives in your personal one. I think it's only the pages. Anyway, you'll let me know if I'm on the wrong one. Yes, it is. Good. Thank you. Okay. I'm going to go back to your questions here now. Okay, how would you handle a 9-year-old girl that gets violent, swinging and trying to hit us? Okay, that's just a tell. It means you're not a leader. Remember, we're never fixing kids here. We're teaching parents. If you're a leader, they just don't act like that. They respect you too much. Have you ever had anyone that you look up to, like a grandfather or something that you really looked up to, or a coach or a teacher? Would you ever take a swing at them? No. Why is that? Because you respected them. So work on your leadership skills, and they just don't act like that when you're a leader. It's just impossible. So work on your leadership skills. You might want to check out my boot camp course for 3 to 12-year-olds. And it's all about you. It's 5 weeks. It's a whole course. It's all paced out. Okay, how to get your 2-year-old to sleep in their bed instead of on the floor. I don't know. You mean in their room on the floor? I don't know what you mean. Anyway, you might want to check out my bedtime battles course. It's how to get them in bed, then how to keep them there. You just keep putting them back to bed, but you don't talk to them or look at them. Yeah. And you got to go slow too. Yes, I am on the BratBusters. Excellent. Thank you. My daughter just turned 4. We have tried the 3-day going on every 30 minutes, and she's still struggling to be completely trained. Any advice? So this is the potty training one. Did you buy the course? The potty training course? Sometimes it can take longer. It just turned 4, and we've tried the 3-day going on 30 minutes. Going every 30 minutes, so she's struggling to complete training. I don't know. Sometimes if it's really a struggle and she's that old and she's still struggling, that might be coaching. There might be something else going on. I don't know. There might be something else going on. Like all my courses are just for the general population, but sometimes there's something else going on that I can't quite figure. There's something that would need to be tweaked. I don't know. Are you a leader? Does she respect you? You know what I mean? Like, is she kind of a little bit of a feisty kid, or does she do chores? Does she have responsibilities? What's she like at school? All this sort of stuff. It's sort of leading into the fact, is she, sort of respectful or not respectful? My 16-year-old has become super disrespectful. He's constantly verbally attacking someone within the household. We are at our wits' end. What do you do? What do I do? Well, I don't know. I work on your relationship, first of all. That would be coaching. You might want to look into coaching. I'm looking for teenagers right now, parents of teenagers. I've got a lot of little kids right now on my roster. Anyway, you might want to look into coaching if you're interested, because I can't give you a simple answer here, but I will read out my top 4 tips for parenting teenagers. They're my favorite age, by the way. Teenagers are easy once you understand them, but we don't work on disciplining teenagers. We work on connecting with them, and then you can start to get more results that you're happy with. Okay, number 1, listen to understand and show empathy. You don't listen to gather information to lecture with, or they will shut you out. If they want your advice, they'll ask for it. They already know it anyway. Number 2 is you negotiate as much as possible. Hey, I want your dirty clothes in the hamper from now on. What do you want from me? Go something like that. Number 3 is don't sweat the small stuff. If your teenager does something stupid and it's not a big deal, just say, well, that was stupid. Do you want to hear what I did when I was your age? And laugh it off. Save your energy for the big stuff if you even need it. And number 4, don't leverage the good times to discuss the bad times. So let's say they let you in your world and you're playing at their world and you're playing video games with them and everything's going great. Don't leverage that time to discuss all the things they've done to disappoint you. A lot of parents do that. It's like a vendetta. They just have to get it out. Don't do it. Big mistake. They'll shut you out. That's my top 4 tips for parenting teenagers. I don't have a course on teenagers yet, for parents of teenagers yet. It's just strictly coaching. If you're interested, it's in the link above, or just keep watching. With teenagers, they're different. You don't discipline teenagers to get respect. You get respect before you discipline, and you work on connecting with them. The first session or 2, it's nothing but connecting. A lot of parents are disappointed in coaching when they've got teenagers. No, I thought we're gonna sort them out. No, we're gonna sort you out. We're gonna teach you how to connect with your teenager. Then we'll start to work on the other stuff. I've been doing this for a long time. Okay, my 8-year-old is talking back all the time, regardless of succeeding and doing discipline with your system. She doesn't have it. Wait a minute. System. Oh gosh. Okay. She doesn't care about the consequences, media blackout, or anything. She just is disrespectful because she doesn't have it. Then she's respectful the time she has the consequence, but then she gets back to just blah, 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 blah. Yeah. I don't know what's going on there. You might just be in the red zone, that next level. That again might just be coaching. I don't know what's going on. There must be something missing. Something, you're either doing something to sabotage it or not doing something to sabotage it. That's my guess. I just don't know what it is. So I'd have to assess that. Because it does, generally all my advice sort of works with general situations. But if you're red zone or next level, there's really a lot going on, or extenuating circumstances, that would be one-on-one coaching with me. because I have to assess the situation before moving forward. And I don't put a lot of stuff, like coaching is very different. I don't put a lot of stuff in the courses that I would do in coaching because it's sort of used with caution, but I have to coach you on it first, right? But plus, I don't like to recommend a lot of stuff that the general populace would not need. So yeah, coaching is sort of just different, whatever. But you don't have to do that. Just check out the behavior board. It's completely free. But yeah, if you really want my help, that would be coaching. Okay, enough about coaching. Jeez, I'm not here to sell coaching. If you want to buy it, fine, but that's not why I'm here. Okay, I'm here to answer questions. My 30-month-old is now going to pee in the potty, but only poops in the floor. What should I do? Okay, they often don't like pooping on the toilet, and I'll tell you why. There's 3 reasons, but you said potty, so it might be a little potty anyway. Anyway, there's 3 reasons usually why they don't want to poop on the toilet. And it's usually little boys. It's sometimes girls, but usually little boys. They got more equipment hanging out down there. So they don't like the splashback. That's one. Number 2 is they don't like the hanging feeling, when they're pooping and it's hanging there and it's just swinging, and they just don't like the feeling of it pulling on them. Sorry about being so graphic, but it's parenting here. And number 3 is they might have a cold tush because they're used to being smashed up in a nice warm diaper or whatever, right? So what you do to remedy that is you hike up the heat in the bathroom, get them a porta potty, put some toilet paper in the bottom so they can feel it on their bum, and there's no splashback. So give that a go. Any tips on dealing with a tantrum in the car? My son is 20. Well, why do you have to deal with it? He's strapped in, isn't he? I would just ignore it. And I never deal with tantrums. Like you let them go for it. How to wake a sleeping newborn for feeding. I can't comment on that. The reason is there's different theories out there on whether you should or not. And I'm not going to get involved in that because I'm not a pediatrician. I'm not qualified to discuss that. I know as a mother what I would have done, but I can't give you advice on that. So yeah. Because what if I'm wrong? What if now they say you should never wake a sleeping baby, wait till they cry to be fed? But I know now they're saying they should be fed every 3 hours. I don't know what's right or wrong. So I have no advice on that whatsoever. And they keep changing what they recommend too. So it's very confusing. I know my kids were only 5 years apart, but boy, everything changed. Like I think one kid, my son was supposed to sleep on his side. By the time my daughter came along, they were supposed to sleep on their back. And how often they were fed, what they were fed, everything changed in just 5 years. That was like 30 years ago. So yeah, it can't keep up. So yeah, check with your pediatrician or whatever. Someone who's qualified to discuss that. That ain't me. What are some good consequences for a 5-year-old? Don't get caught up in what the consequence is. It doesn't matter. Just have them do a chore. And even if they don't mind doing it, that's not the point. The point is, if they do something bad, you're getting them to do something good. Okay. It's guiding them in the right direction. If they won't do it, then you take something away from them. Check out the behavior board. It explains it all. Or you can look at the courses. Okay. This is D. Sylvia. You've been here a lot. I recognize the name. Okay. Oh, sorry. I've got another one. Accent Fleet. I've got to address this one before you put it on there. I just bought the 3 to 12 course, about to start week 1. Can I put no screaming on the behavior board? I would have said you can't do that. That's in the attitude department. No, it's only actions, not words, unless they are name calling or swearing. You can put those 2 on, but you can't put screaming. What you're saying is have a good attitude. Yeah, you can't do that. You never put attitude for the kids on there, but you put no yelling if you yell. You're an adult. Okay, it's different. But yeah, you can't do that. So this other one was from D. Silva. I plan to connect with my 2-year, 10-month-old, so almost 3-year-old every day, but he now screams no in my face for everything. I ignore it, but he now screams at grandma too. What else can I do to teach him to talk nicely? Okay, he screams and you say, I don't like that. And you get up and walk away. And you got to do it every single time. Okay? See how that goes. It's called consistent corrective action. So it's not about the words, just say no or I don't like that and then get up and walk away. It's all about actions, not words. You got to do it 50 times before he'll learn. So you got a 2-year-old starting to throw fits? Yeah, you might want to check out my tantrum course. It's one of my mini courses, or my big toddler course. But yeah, they're saying no and throwing a fit. That's on them. Don't worry about it. Let them say no. Let them throw a fit. That's okay. But if they're saying no, that they don't want to go to bed, put them in bed. Like if you've just said you're going to bed and they yell no, put them in bed. Like follow through with what they're saying no to if it has to be done. So like we're leaving the park now. No, pick them up and leave the park. Follow up with action. Okay. If they throw a fit, that's fine. Let them throw a fit. Let them lay on the ground, throw a fit, and you just stand there filing your nails, wait till it's over. As soon as it's over, oh, you all done? Okay, let's go. Don't discuss the tantrum before, during, or after. There's no point whatsoever. None. I would not give it any credit. I wouldn't give it any attention. A tantrum is not bad behavior. A tantrum is a loss of emotional control at not getting what they want, when they want, and how they want it. You do not need to address that. They have to learn that that's never going to work. They have to, they talk a lot about these days. I've heard they talk a lot about how to teach a child self-regulation. How can you teach someone to self-regulate? Self-regulating is them learning themselves. Let them learn that tantrums will never work with you. Never. And they'll stop having them. Five-year-old just started kindergarten. Tips on helping with talking back. Always telling her to drop. Oh, you can't say drop the attitude. Yeah, check out the behavior board. It teaches you how to start getting respect. It's just the training wheels with all this stuff. It's just a teaching tool. You can look at the boot camp course, 3 to 12-year-olds. That might be more suitable. It's just more intensive. But yeah, she just doesn't respect you. That's a tell. Work on your leadership skills and then she'll respect you. You got to earn that respect. Everyone wants to fix their kids. That's not what we do. We fix and teach parents here. I teach parenting. I don't teach kidding or teenagering. I teach parenting. You lead, they will follow. I've worked with thousands of kids, maybe just hundreds. I don't know. Can't figure it out. Anyway, must be thousands by now. Anyway, but yeah, I always managed to get respect with them. And was it them or me? It was me. So work on your leadership skills. You lead, they will follow, right? Leaders lead. And most parents are so busy letting the kids act and then you react to their acting. I don't. I act a certain way and let them react to me. That's what a leader does. And your role as a leader is to bring out the best in them, make them like themselves when they're with you. So they want to please you. It's all positive. You got a runner. So 23-month-old who's a runner. There's 4 things that toddlers are either born to do and they're going to do them or they're never going to do them. So it's not your fault that they start doing them, but it's your responsibility to train them out of them. Okay. 1 is running, 1 is climbing, 1 is tantrums, and 1 is aggressiveness, like hitting, etc. With a runner, I would get a harness on them. So I get a harness and a leash, put the harness on them before you go out. And you say, if you run, this is going to go, you're going to get clipped in. So the first time they run, and be ready for it. First time they start to run, grab them, clip them in, and keep them clipped in for the rest of that outing. If you're going somewhere important where you can't afford to just let them lay on the ground tied up and mad, then just do some trial runs, like just go to the park or somewhere where you don't care if you ever get there. So that way you can practice this. But yeah, runners, that's a safety thing. You put a restraint on them in the car. You want to put a restraint on them in the street so they don't get hit by a car, right? So yeah, they'll learn. They don't like that. They'll learn. And it's all up to them. It's how I hate it. Well, then it's your fault. It's your choice. Like, I didn't want to have to do this. It's your choice. I wouldn't even say, don't say that to them, but it's like, so that was their choice. They chose to do that. Allow them to learn that they're accountable for what happens to them. I always told my kids, it's your choice. Like I used to say to them, if your good life is good, I'll make sure of it because I'm your mom. If you're good, I'll make sure your life is good. If you're bad, I'll make sure your life isn't so good. That's my job. I'm your mom. Right? So they learned, hey, if they were good, we just had a great life. If they weren't, yeah, mom wasn't so much fun. So they learn. They do. Oops, I'm skipping ahead to make sure you're here while I answer your question. What if your heart can't take the corrective actions? It's so hard to reverse loving them during the tantrum by giving them hugs or staying in bed. That's not loving. That's validating the bad behavior. That's validating like them hitting you or whatever. That's validating that. Yeah, it's not love. That's not love. You're actually validating the tantrum, the hitting, whatever they're doing. So that's not love. You're mixing that up. Yeah, you're rewarding it. So yeah. How do you handle, that's a good question. It comes up a lot. It's from Valentina on YouTube. How do you handle 24-hour media blackout with multiple kids? Okay, so let's say you have 4 kids and only one of them has media blackout. The one who has media blackout is not sequestered in a certain room. They have the run of the house except the master bedroom. All the other kids get to pile into the master bedroom with a smaller screen. They're usually quite happy to have a smaller screen when they know their sibling has none. So that's how it's done. The whole family has to suffer a little bit. That's okay. So when your kid does have media blackout, then you say, hey, I'm going to do it with you because there's no way you should be using a screen if they don't have it. Say, I'm going to do it with you. So how about we play a game? No, I hate you. I hate you. Say, okay, never mind. Walk away. A half hour later, once they've calmed down, say, you ready for that game now? You want to connect after all this has happened. The funny thing is that with bigger families, especially when you start playing games with that kid, they eventually, the younger they are, the more likely they are to play that game or do whatever, go to the park or read a book with you. Then the other kids often come out of the room to play the game too. So it becomes a really good family night with no media. So yeah, you just got to stay strong, but you want to connect. Once you've disciplined, that's it. It's all done. Now you want to connect. You don't have to juggle with them for the 24, entertain them for 24 hours. But after you've imposed the 24-hour media blackout, you want to connect sort of as soon as possible after that. How do I parent a teen and a 7-year-old that go off and destroy property? Well, that's sort of next level. You'd have to hire me for that. If you've got a teenager, you got a teenager destroying property, that would be coaching. You'd have to hire me for that. So look at the link above for I do have a wait list for coaching, but yeah, I'll get to you eventually. Do you have tips with a 3-year-old who struggles with sleep? I have a whole course on that called Bedtime Battles. It's in 2 parts, how to get the kids in bed, then how to keep them there. That's the hard part. It's usually a night of hell. Yeah, it's usually really rough, but it's often just one night. But it's a rough night. But that is by far my most successful parenting thing that I teach is Bedtime Battles. It just is. I just had a client today who said they're struggling with a lot of stuff. Bedtime, they said, yeah, we just followed through and it works. So yeah, I had 5 clients going through it over the weekend. I haven't heard from them all yet, but yeah, 2 of them I have, and it's worked with both of them. I think it was just 2. Okay. Sorry, I'm just looking at my notes here. Because sometimes, I'm just responding to discipline questions usually, but that's not what I teach. I teach connecting more than disciplining. Someone said, how can I join your class? Go in the link above, and all my courses are in there. Okay. I'm just looking at some of my notes. Because, like I said, most of what I teach connecting with kids. Leadership is more about connecting than disciplining. You discipline, get it over with. Check out the example of leadership parenting video. I know it's at the very top of my Instagram and my TikTok. I don't know where it is here on Facebook, but it's a pool story, and it explains how I feel about leadership parenting. You deal with bad behavior, then you focus on the good kid. Bad behavior, just deal with it. Yeah, that was bad. Here's your consequence. Now, do you want to go to the park? You see, get it done like a business transaction. Don't hover in that negativity. A lot of parents do that. They have their kids in the doghouse for like a whole week. Big mistake. That's what a lot of parents do. They say, oh, I just can't discipline. It feels so awful. That's because you're doing it wrong. Okay. Discipline should be very quick. Like just get it done, like pulling off a Band-Aid, and then focus on the good kid. There is no doghouse. A lot of parents do that. They say, oh, I'm so mad at him. We didn't do anything fun. I took everything away for a whole week. So they do nothing. They let the kid get away with murder for weeks. And then that's it. I've had it. And then they go overboard the other way. So there's no balance. There's no consistency. And the kids are completely lost. That's why they go wild. Do you help with special needs? Yeah. I've worked in a lot of hospitals and care facilities and that, special needs kids. That's all coaching, though. That's not general advice, obviously. Okay, how to keep a 2.5-year-old sleeping. Check out my Bedtime Battles course. That's about how to get them in bed, then how to keep them there. Keeping them there is the hard part. So yeah, check that out. It's not fun. It's not fun. But like everything, everything that's worthwhile, it's got to be hard work. You got to earn this respect. You gotta put in the work. I worked my butt off to get respect with kids. I got pretty good at it, so it got easier, but I really figured this out. I started volunteering in daycare centers when I was 11 years old. I just always was mothering, and I just had to figure it out. So I wanted to. I was fascinated. Kids fascinated me because they're us. We were them. That's how we all form. If you can figure out kids right through the teen years, you can kind of figure out adults too. We're better at masking and hiding stuff, and we have more baggage, but we're still very similar. There's a lot of the same, we're all still little kids. We're all still got that vulnerable side in us. I just find kids fascinating. Can I message you there too? I don't answer messages. No, I don't have time for that. You can just do, if you want to hire me for coaching, you do an intake form, but I don't answer messages anymore. I just don't. I don't have time. Like parenting questions. It's the only place I answer parenting questions is in coaching or here. Okay. Hello from Scotland. My 3-year-old is struggling with a new baby, taking up my time, and I have major mom guilt. Yeah, that's just part of it. It's just a transition time, and they will survive, but it's going to be temporarily. It's going to be difficult. And you can't necessarily make it easy. How on earth can a little kid understand a newborn, how it's going to change their life? You can't prepare them for it, and you just got to ride the wave. They'll eventually get used to it, okay? You'll get more time as the baby gets older, and they'll get used to it. And by the way, this leadership stuff is connecting. It is about leadership. It does make them feel loved and safe. So I strongly recommend that you look into the behavior board, or because it's about connecting too. So it can be used in a positive way, not just disciplining. Okay, we started the bedtime routine last night. So he did the course. And after about placing him back in bed for the 7th time, he stayed, but we didn't master it for the whole night yet. If he gets up, the 7th time, that's nothing. It can go for 70 times. If he gets up in the middle of the night, you start the process again. I said it's bedtime, the 2nd time, bedtime. Every time after that, don't look at them or talk to them. Just keep putting them back in bed. And go slow. If you move fast, it makes you look angry. Go slow. Plus, you're going to need the strength, so slow it down. Was wondering where to find the story about the allowance. If you go, I know where it is because I posted this myself when I was doing my own marketing, social media stuff. And it's called Allowance or Chores versus Allowance in TikTok. I know it's there. And it's either Allowance versus Chores or Chores versus Allowance. And, ooh, someone just broke something out there. It's like a glass. Anyway, the allowance. But I will tell you right now how you do allowance. It's a little bit long, but anyway. I'll do it. It's worth talking about. So here's how you do allowance with kids. At the age of 3, I started my kids on allowance. I think it was half their age every week. And I had 2 kids. I had this book that I used, and there was 1 kid in the front, 1 kid in the back. When they met in the middle, I started a new book. And it had columns: date, description, debit, credit, balance, plus, minus, equals. Okay. So every Saturday morning, I'd say, come on, we're going to do mom's bank. And they'd come running. So I'd say, okay, now. It was their money, but only I wrote in it, and they never touched money. Kids don't need to touch money. So they wrote, and I don't pay for chores. This is just kids, like they had to do chores, but kids need to learn how to manage and respect money. That's what this was all about. So they were good kids, and, kids just deserve to make and manage money and learn how to, respect it. Anyway, so then what I did was I'd pay 10% interest on every $100. So when they got to $1,000, I'd give them $100 interest. That bumped them up to $1,100. So then I'd go back to $10 on 100, 20 on 200. So if they had like $5,400 in the bank, they would only get $40 interest. You get the idea. They wouldn't get 540. Is that how that works out? Yeah. Anyway, because then I'd just be writing forever and they'd never. So anyway, that's how that's done. And they only get interest on the same amount once. Now, it was their money, but they never, if we were going out and they wanted treats or something, which was rare, I didn't like junk food. So, but if we did, we paid for all that. And I never just gave them money to spend and waste. I don't like wasting money. I don't mind spending it, but I don't like wasting money. But if they really wanted to do something, or they really wanted to buy something special, we discuss it. And I'd say, no, just wait for your birthday. That's too big to just go out and, buy yourself. But sometimes I'd say, well, sure. Now let's say that you did buy that PlayStation game. So this is how much longer it's going to take you to get interest again. So the PlayStation game was like $60 or $80. So I'd say how many more months it would take them to get back to where they were, and then to start earning interest again. And often my son would say, oh, never mind. So it just taught them the value of $1. I've got lots of stories on how I use this with my kids too. You never discipline with allowance, by the way. That's different. Anyway, so yeah, that's how it's done. And it's another leadership skill too, because they come running and they're 15 years old and I cash them out at 15. And they went to a normal bank and then reality kicked in because the banks are not paying 10% interest on every 100. So why am I using my mouse for you? I have to scroll with my finger. Anyway, that's allowance. Hi, from Nebraska. No, Nebraska. No, it's not Nebraska, Ohio. Is it? Nebraska. Isn't that Arkansas? Anyway, sorry. I usually know more about that. But anyway, I watch my 19-month-old grandson full time. He's so different than my daughter was at that age. Oh, okay. So it wasn't a question. I don't give grandparenting advice anyway. I just give parenting advice. How to discipline 18-month-old and handle the tantrums. Check out my tantrum busting course. I also have a whole course on toddlers now. It's just basically like little mini blurbs on. So it's not like a process and how you get respect for the toddler, because it doesn't work that way with toddlers. It's like, oh, you're dealing with this. Here's what you do. Oh, you're dealing with that. Here's what you do. I think there's like 50 something sections in there. I think it's 53. I can't remember. Anyway, so check that out if you're interested. It's good to have as a resource anyway. Can you explain continuous corrective action for an almost 3-year-old? Okay, if they're 3 years old, you put them on the behavior board. Before that, you use consistent corrective actions because they are not capable of stopping and thinking before they act, which is what is required for the behavior board. Anyway, under that, you've got to use consistent corrective actions. It's got to be right in the moment, fast. They have to connect what they did wrong to what you're doing. So the consistent corrective action is you remove them from the fun or the fun from them for just a few minutes or whatever. It could be a half hour or whatever, 5 minutes. I don't know. It depends on the age and the severity of what they did. Like if they were hitting other kids, I would pull them away from those other kids and pull them away with me in the kitchen or whatever for probably a half hour. But yeah, so you remove them from the fun or the fun from them. Take a toy away, etc. But you got to be fast. They have to connect the two. And that toddlers under the age of 3, they are not about words. I know these mini therapy sessions are really trendy. You hear that, neighbor? These mini therapy sessions are really trendy right now with toddlers discussing all their big feelings and big emotions. It's absolute garbage. That was invented to make the mom feel good about herself. It's absolute crap. Toddlers are not about mini therapy sessions. You'll be talking to a toddler like this. You know, you shouldn't do that. It's not very nice. And they go, no, mommy, no. So you don't hit again, right? You're a good boy. No, I won't. And then you turn your back and they hit you again. You're like, what the heck? Because he's 2. They don't listen to that. They parrot back to you. Because right in the moment, right? You don't do that. No, mommy. They're not listening. They don't give a hoot what you're saying. Could care less. But they do care if you repeatedly take a toy away from them. They will eventually learn that way. They learn through repetition. It takes a lot of repetition before a toddler will learn. Can you put the link for the courses? It's all above in my description. Wherever, I don't know where it is here on Facebook, but I think I just have one link in Facebook. You'll see it. Go in my bio or whatever it's called. And all my courses are in there. Do you have a page? A page. Isn't this a page? Is this a page? Or is it what's the Facebook pages, Facebook? What's the other thing? There's pages and then there's something, groups. No, this isn't a group. It's a page. I purposely didn't want a group. They're a lot of work. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is a page. If it isn't, I'm very confused. I don't do my social media, so I don't know. My daughter does all this. Oops, I got to go. Shoot, I'm late. I got to go over to Instagram. Check out the link above. You can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp courses, or you can look into coaching. Thanks very much for watching. I'm hopping over to Instagram now. Yep, I am 3 minutes late. Oh, well. Can I give a consequence to a 3-year-old for not listening? No. Not listening is like what you're saying is you're giving them a consequence for not respecting you. You haven't earned it. You can't blame them for you not earning respect. You see what I mean? You don't respect me because I didn't earn it, so I'm going to punish you. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense at all. Their bad attitude and they're not listening to you is just that you're not a leader. They don't respect you. That's all. You can't punish a child for you not being a leader. Not at all. And then you said, what about picking up her toys? You put on the behavior board, Pick up 10 toys within 10 minutes of being asked to do so. That's the rule. If she doesn't do it, there's a consequence. That's how you deal with it. So yeah, you got to earn that respect. You can't punish a child for not respecting a non-leader at all. Okay, yeah, I don't let anybody in my videos in my lives at all. I only did it once a couple of years ago. I didn't know what I was doing. And they started talking about their business. I had like about 20,000 people in that live too. It was on TikTok, and that's my biggest platform. And yeah, they started talking about their business. They wanted my audience, and I didn't know what I was doing. I couldn't get rid of them. Oh no, I do want to ask a parenting question, but first I'm going to talk about me and my business and trying to sell everything to your audience. Whoa, was I stupid to let them in? So yeah, never again. Okay. Now this is from Faith. I think you've been on here before. I'm doing the boot camp, 3 to 12-year-olds. Week 2, and chores are on the behavior board. Do I remind the kid of chores? They're 5 and 7. So what she's saying is she's in week 2 on the course, the boot camp course for 3 to 12-year-olds, and she's chosen do chore chart, okay, or do your chores as the rule for the kids. If they don't do their chores, then there's a consequence. It's usually more chores. And then if they won't do more chores, then it's media blackout. So but the consequences for kids are always 2 of them. You do a positive action. If they won't do that, then you do a negative deprivation. They are 5 and 7. I would say maybe the first week you might remind them once. But don't say, remember to do your chores. Just point to the behavior board and go like this. Remember, do it once. That's what I would do. Okay, good question. This comes up a lot in coaching. You mentioned we should do media blackout with our kids, but unfortunately I need to be on my phone fairly regularly. That's fine if you're on your phone for work. The kids can understand that. Say I'm allowed to be on my phone for business, but I can't be on my phone for personal. So just do it like that. Yeah. Oh, I knew you meant should. She just did a typo thing, and I already read it out with the right word. My son just won't follow through when given directions. He's 6. Well, what's the consequence if he doesn't follow through? What's the consequence? There has to be a consequence. That's how we all learn. That's why, would you ever pay your bills if you never had to? Would you ever stop at a stop sign fully or not speed if you didn't think you'd get a ticket? See what I mean? We all live by consequences. And yet we expect our kids to just do the yucky stuff just because. See what I mean? It doesn't make any sense. So yeah, what's the consequence if he doesn't do what he's supposed to do? It's all about consequences. It's about teaching them to be accountable. Like I taught my kids, I didn't really ever tell my kids what to do. And people used to ask me, they said, how do you get your kids to do all their chores and homework all the time and go to bed? And I said, from the time they were little, if I wanted them to learn how to start making their bed or something, and I would wait. I would just wait. I'd say, okay, every morning I want you to make your bed. Okay. And then they'd forget because they were 3. So then I'd wait. And as soon as I'd hear, Mommy, can I please have a snack? Sure, sweetie. As soon as you finish making your bed, they'd run and make their bed. Then they'd get a snack. And then they ended up learning, you got to do what you need to do before you can do what you want to do. If they wanted something from me, like a snack or to go in the pool or go to the park or whatever, they would look around seeing what they had to do first. They just became self-disciplined, right? So that's why I never told them what to do. I waited till they asked for something. Sure, sweetie, of course we can go in the pool. As soon as you put your toys away. Oh, sorry, Mommy. And they'd run around putting their toys away. It was that easy. I couldn't believe it. I remember people, because I was so excited about being a mom. Everyone said, it's harder than you think. It was a piece of cake. But I had tons of experience with kids before I had my own. So yeah, it made it easy. But yeah, I was a leader. Leadership makes it easy. And then you can just relax and be best friends with your kids and have fun. All this work I'm telling you to do right now, that's just to set yourself up as a leader. Getting respect is hard to do. Maintaining it's a piece of cake. See, I just maintained it. So How do you stop crying 4, 6, and 8-year-olds? That's a sign that you're not a leader. They feel unregulated. They feel unsafe. They feel like there's not enough organization in the house. They just don't feel secure. That's what that says to me. So work on yourself, your leadership skills. You might want to check out my boot camp course for 3 to 12-year-olds. It's not for the kids, it's for you, if you have 3 to 12-year-olds. But yeah, it teaches you how to be a leader, and then they'll be more calm. If their emotions are like this, it's usually because they need a leader, right? Leaders calm them down. They feel taken care of. They feel safe. So I'm skipping ahead to make sure you're still here while I answer your question. You have to put the age. I can't answer it without an age. Do both parents need to be strong leaders? Absolutely not. My mom was a leader. My dad was the pleaser. I was the leader. My ex-husband was the pleaser. So long as the pleaser defers to the leader. So if there's anything to make a decision on, they'd say, well, let's ask mom. Yeah. Or do you want me to, if they were acting out, they would just say, do you want me to tell mom? So they have to leverage the leader. The leader is actually the easier role because you never have to, they don't disrespect you. So the leader's the easier role, but it doesn't come naturally to a lot of people. Like it comes naturally. Some people find it easier. Like I found it easy because I knew the results were so great. Yeah. But no, you don't have to both be leaders at all. There's usually, the funny thing is, everyone thinks the leader's the tough one. The leader's the one that they are more likely to go to right through the teen years and talk to. The leader is the one they tell everything to. And when parents figure out the bond that leader gets with the kids, they often fight over that role. No, I want to be the leader. Well, you can both be leaders, but there's usually is a stronger one. And that's the one that they tell everything to right through the teen years. So you asked me about the question, and it's not a parenting question. It's what do you do if other people's kids are hitting your kids? I would just say, hey, look, can you stop your kid from hitting mine? If they can't do that, then I just take my kid away. I do ask, or I hope that they'll correct their kid. But yeah, if they're not willing to do that, if it's family, I would just sort of preoccupy myself with my kids somewhere else. It's just part of it, right? I've lost friends over that, friends who couldn't handle their kids. Both my kids were very passive. They would never have hit back or anything. So they were victims when they were little. They could quite easily. So it was my job to protect them. So I lost friends over that because I wasn't willing to let my kids get beaten up. But yeah. You never teach a child with bullying. You never teach a child to fight back physically, ever. Because bullies are not always cowards. Some bullies are seasoned fighters and good at it. So it's always up to adults to deal with physical bullying. It's not up to the kids. How do I respond when my 5-year-old says, no, mommy, I don't want to? I don't know what you're talking about. What specifically? And if he has to go to bed, if it's bedtime, just say, oh, well, you're going anyway. Like, if he's 5 and he says, I don't want to, and he knows it's something he should do, that's a tell. It means that he thinks he can get away with it. You must be easy to manipulate because they don't talk like that if you're a leader. Past the age of 4, they don't talk like that. They only do what works. That's a tell. It means it usually works. So if it's something they have to do, you just have to follow through. Okay, time to brush your teeth. No, I don't want to. Well, it's happening anyway. Like you're going in there and making it happen. So yeah. They only do what works past the age of 4. Doing the boot camp, 9 and 12-year-old. My son now tells on older sister. So your 9-year-old is telling on his 12-year-old sister over everything now to get a positive action done for him, but feels emotional and unjust if I don't follow through. Okay, I don't get that. Doing boot camp, 9, 12-year-old. My son now tells on older sister over everything now to get a positive action for him. Why would he get a positive action? I don't know what you mean. The positive action is the consequence and he wants that? Can you just elaborate? That's Brenda. I'll try and follow up. 4-year-old doesn't want to participate in team sports. Do we push it or wait until he's older? My son didn't like team sports. He didn't like the physicality. He didn't like kids who were kicking and beating on him. So he just didn't like it. He thought they were mean. I raised my kids in Australia. They're a tougher lot over there. So just, the bloke stuff. So yeah, he didn't like team sports. So I had him in other stuff that wasn't aggressive, like that there was no hitting or anything. Or no tackling or anything like that. You can imagine over there with rugby and everything. It was just Aussie blokes are a little bit rougher. So, but yeah, I had him in other stuff. Like he did art classes. He did, he did theater. God, he hated that. But anyway, he did that. And he played basketball. And I made him try everything. He did soccer for quite a while. But yeah, I picked something that wasn't too aggressive. So maybe that's it. Maybe he doesn't want to get hurt. I'm looking for Brenda's follow-up because she's bought this course and I don't know what the heck she means. I want to figure out what she meant by that. Okay, I don't see a follow-up question. Okay, what's the best way to leave a 3-year-old at nursery for the very first time? Drop and go or stay for a while? Usually they say the dump and run. Like most daycare workers will say, can you just do the dump and run? And when you're saying goodbye, don't make a big deal out of it. Just say, okay, see you later, and then go off. Do it fast. They're used to it, okay? They're used to separation anxiety. It can usually goes away within about 3 weeks. It might peter off in that time. But yeah, and then also don't make a big deal about the hello. Hi, mommy's back. Don't do that. Just go, hi there. How was your day? Like it's no big deal. So yeah, you don't want to make the transitions, the separation a big deal, or the reunion either. Not when you're trying to adjust them to this, right? I can't find a consequence that motivates my 3-year-old to change his behavior. I've tried media blackout, losing the throne toy, sharing the toy with his brother, etc. Help. I don't know. Okay. There's reasons for that. There could be so many different reasons for that. I'm wondering what you've got as his rule. Yeah, sorry, I can't answer that because I don't know what you've got as his rule. So he throws a toy. You take the toy away. Yeah, I don't know. I need more information. Here we go. Okay, Brenda. He will tell on her for saying something unkind. I will have her do a positive action. Oh, I see. For him, like making his bed. Now it's tattling about it. Oh, I would say, okay, tattling for the big stuff is okay. If you tattle for a whole bunch of little stuff that doesn't matter, you'll get the consequence, okay? Because it can go overboard. So say it like that. And then say, I'll decide what overboard is. And then say, he's 9. You say to him, I think you know what I mean, okay? So don't go overboard with that. Say only tattle on the big stuff. So yeah, that's how you take control. See how that goes. Should I be worried if my baby isn't talking by 17 months? I knew someone years and years ago who didn't talk or walk till she was 3 years old. Then her mother told the story. She's passed now, the mother. Anyway, she told the story that she didn't walk or talk till she was 3. Then she got up, ran, and never shut up. So she knew how to do it. Some of them just don't care. They're just quieter. My granddaughter, she's got a personality on her. She's a strong personality, but she's not a real vocal baby. She's 7 months old. Her father never shut up. He came out of the womb talking. So they're all different. It doesn't make any difference. Like they turn out, you know what I mean? They turn out fine. But I wouldn't worry. Unless you're really worried, then go to a pediatrician and have them assessed. But lots of kids don't talk till they're like 2, 2.5, 3. Yeah, but my granddaughter, she's nothing like her father, put it that way. He was the other extreme. He talked a lot. So yeah, always yabbering. But yeah, she's more quiet. She can cry, but she's not a chatter. You know what I mean? Yeah, they're all different. And it's no indication of intelligence or anything. It's just a personality trait. How can I become a leader when 13-month-old baby is transitioning from baby to toddler? Well, you can start ignoring tantrums or redirecting, but don't look upset and don't coddle a tantrum. And if they start throwing or hitting stuff, you just say no and make it a clear sign that you're not happy with that, and then redirect. You redirect with babies. But you never want to discipline a baby that makes them cry. You never say no and they cry. You don't want to do that. Just go no. And then you sort of give them a little bit of the cold shoulder. So you know what I mean? Like no, and then you can look away for a minute or whatever. They'll start getting the idea. That's how leadership works. If they start to connect up with your energy. So they understand that, hey, you're really good at correcting me. And they do start to pick up on this. And at a very young age, much younger than I would have thought. At one time, I wouldn't have guessed that they're about 10 months. They can start to pick up on who's the leader and who isn't. The leader is the one that they tend to lay back and get changed with easier. And the other one, they'll fight. Like, let's say they go through that stage where they're little snakes on the change table. You know, when they're rolling around, they're like a crocodile. But the leader, you'll notice they'll be more calm because they know the leader is just going to change them anyway. The the pleaser would be more likely to negotiate. Do you want a toy? Do you want to get down and get a toy? Then I'll change you. That kind of stuff. So follow through with what you're going to do. Don't let them sort of stop you from doing the bath, the changing, brushing their teeth, whatever you got to do. Follow through with actions. They do start to look at you differently. They also are inclined to get connected with the leader more. It's just the way it is. This one's a tough one because I'd sort of have to assess it, but I will read it out. How to approach when you got a 3-year-old. How to approach when other parent is reactive / authoritarian when son acts out. Does that undo work as a leader? It can. If the two parents aren't on the same page, it can be very confusing. So it's better. It doesn't mean they both have to be doing the same thing, but one can't go against the other. That you have to look like you're on the same page. So you don't have to both be good at this stuff, but yeah, you got to defer to the one doing this if you want to be a leader. It's hard if you live in the same house and one parent is undermining you and doing something different. It definitely makes it, especially, yeah, they're 3, they're little. It's tough. Oops, don't want to be late for TikTok. How to word on board for 3-year-old. No yelling unless you or someone. You never put no yelling. I would have said that. It would say not to put no yelling. That's in the attitude department. You never put no yelling for kids. You put it for yourself. Yeah. You can't put, it's in the attitude department. You can't put attitude on there. How do I get my 16-year-old stepson to be more motivated to get a job? Well, I don't know your relationship with him. Plus, I don't give step parenting advice. I only give biological parent or whoever has custody. I only give them advice. But yeah, you'd have to hire me for that. That's not a simple answer. 16-year-old, I don't know his situation. Is he depressed? Is he, I don't know. What's your relationship like? Does he lay around the house or is he motivated in other ways? I got a million questions. That would just be one-on-one coaching. If you're interested, check out the link above. Do your children follow your guide with their children? I only have one grandchild and she's 7 months old. It's my son. My son, I'm assuming, will be the pleaser. They've already sort of said that's what it's going to be. His girlfriend, on the other hand, I think she's going to be a really good leader. Yeah, she'll be a good leader. I think she won't be taking anything. Whereas my son, I think, would let her get away with stuff. Yeah, that's my guess. My kids growing up always said they were going to parent the way I did. And I think perhaps if his girlfriend wasn't the way she is, I think he would be more of a leader. Do you know what I mean? Because he knows she's going to do it. So I'm just guessing. I don't know. But they both said that he's going to be the pleaser. He's going to be giving in. Should I allow my 20-month-old to hang around toddlers that are hitting? No, I don't like my kids getting hit. I never allowed that. I just picked them up and went home. If the parents didn't stop their child from hitting other kids, I would get out of there. I didn't like my kids getting beaten up. I'm their protector. I never allowed that. I had a friend who she would say to her really just aggressive kid from the time they were babies, before they were walking, her kid was so aggressive. Biting, pinching, hitting. And she would just say you're sorry from the time he was little. And he'd go, sorry. And then he'd just keep doing it. And she'd pretend she didn't see it. It was only when my poor kid would start to cry that she'd go, oh, say you're sorry. The funny thing is, I had to stop. I didn't see her anymore. I couldn't handle it. And because she didn't know what she was doing. Anyway, years and years later, they had moved to a different neighborhood because she was a neighbor. And years later, like, I don't know, 15 years later, I was talking to someone at the gym and they were talking about this kid, and I didn't know where they moved to, but they were talking about this kid. They said, oh, the whole district was dreaded getting this kid in the high school. And they were saying, oh, he's just the horrible bully and the parents are useless. Instantly, I knew it was her. And I asked, and they said, hey, how'd you know? And I said, yeah, I remember him when he was a baby. I just knew he was going to turn into a horrible bully. He kept getting kicked out of every school. That's because she didn't correct him. She didn't make him into a nice person. She allowed him to be a rotten, nasty boy. And yeah, it was awful. I felt sorry for him, actually. That was her fault. She should have corrected him. Oh, thank God I got rid of that friendship. My sister is like that with her kids, not sure how to navigate that. It's none of your business. You don't tell other people how to parent. I've never given parenting advice in my personal life. Not that I can ever remember. I would never do that. I wouldn't give it to my kids. It's none of my business how they parent. Yeah, it's none of your business how your sister raises her kids. Yeah, don't get involved. My 8-year-old doesn't listen to my tips and drills when we practice sports, but listens to coaches. I have been the coach. Well, what do they like at home? Do they listen to you at home? Why would it be any different out in the field? If they listen to you at home, they'd listen to you in the field, right? So that says to me you're not a leader. When your kids act that way, should you raise your voice? No, I don't raise my voice. No. That's in the yelling, hitting, all that stuff that you do because it works in the moment, but you know it's going to backfire down the road. Leaders don't yell. I was never yelled at. I never yelled. Leaders never yell. Yeah. My son used to say, if my mom ever whispers, run. That's when I was disciplining. I'd say, I'll tell you what, I didn't like that. That's how I discipline. I got real quiet. So yeah. No, raising your voice it's temporary. It's a fear-based parenting thing. You're trying to scare the kids. It'll backfire. Oh, it does work in the moment when they're little, but it backfires down the road big time. Now, if you're doing continuations and they don't match up with, you know what I mean? Like your continuation of a question might be 20 times below where the first part was. So you have to do the whole question in one go. Six-year-old girl doesn't learn from any form of discipline or consequence, extremely defiant and only cares about herself. Yeah, you just haven't found the right thing to do. Have you got the boot camp course? You might want to give it a go. If she's that defiant and you're really struggling, it means you've got usually some blocks within you, some emotional blocks towards her. So that would be more coaching. Yeah, if you want to look into that, everything's in the link above. Everything I have, all my courses and coaching, it's all linked above. It's in one link. And yeah, 6-year-olds generally only care about themselves. They love you, but they only lead their lives according to what they want. 3-year-old hits at school. What do I do to correct this behavior? Put down no hitting on the behavior board and have the teacher tell you when the kid hits at school. And there's a consequence. There's lots of different consequences for that. I won't go into it here, but it could be giving the victim their favorite toy for the weekend, something like that. You have to put, yeah, that's why the questions can't be that long. By the way, the best place to go is on YouTube because you can do really long questions. It doesn't mean I'll answer them all either, but I'm more likely to see them because that's my smallest platform. Like this one, I think I've got, I don't know, 400,000 on here, people. And then TikTok's bigger. It's got 700,000 on there, but I've only got like 15,000 followers on YouTube. So I'm more likely to see it, and you can write a lot more too. How do you handle attitude? Attitude is a sign. This is Kathy on YouTube. Attitude is a signal to you that you're not a leader. Work on your leadership skills, and they will respect you, and the attitude melts away. Attitude is the very last thing to go, especially you've got like a 12-and-a-half-year-old son. This is the very last thing to go is the attitude, and it happens organically once you set yourself up as a leader, especially by 12-and-a-half. That you've had 12-and-a-half years to not be a leader, so it's going to take 3 to 6 months before you're really cemented in leadership once you've practiced it. You might want to look at the boot camp course, 3 to 12 years old. He's 12-and-a-half. It'll still work in there. Yeah, he just doesn't respect you. Work on your leadership skills. You got to earn that respect. Everyone gets mad when their kids don't respect them. Have you worked for it? Have you earned it? You got to earn it. Don't be that entitled parent. Well, they don't respect me. I'm their parent. What an entitled way to look at it. Have you earned it? Have you worked for it? I worked my butt off to get respect with kids. You got to prove yourself. This is from Poco Lasso. Sorry. I'm happy with the questions that moms and dads are asking, but I really want to say thank you so much for what you do. You're very welcome. I don't get paid for any of these lives. I just happen to really enjoy doing it. My favorite thing in my business is coaching because I get to know parents and then you get to see the transformations. I had a really bad one day last week. Just wasn't getting results. It was like just stumbling block after stumbling block. And then the next day, I just started the day with this whiz bang. Oh my God, we're getting it. It's fantastic. I get really emotionally involved and I love it because I get emotionally involved. I sweat like crazy working on those sessions. I love it. Absolutely love it. It's my favorite thing. This is my second favorite thing because there's not the back and forth. I don't get to know you really. But yeah, I love what I do. I love what I do. The worst business advice I ever got was when I first started my business and they said, never get emotionally involved. Now I'm in the caring field. I thought that was and so were they. And I thought, what a dumb thing to say when you're in the caring. You should get emotionally involved, but you have to learn to cut it off after the session because you got another session coming up. But I do. During that hour, I am emotionally involved. And that's why I love what I do. Okay, I got to go. I'm moving over to TikTok now. If you want to join me over there, it's BratBusters Parenting. Check out the link above. You can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp courses, toddlers and older kids, and you can look into coaching. I do have a wait list, but I'll get to you eventually. Happy parenting. Bye now. Oops, I'm on the wrong channel. Ooh, I did that yesterday. I've got a private one too, and I was on that one last night, and I couldn't figure out why no one was turning up. And they said, that's because you're on the wrong channel, because a lot of people who follow me know my personal one too. So they said, you're on the wrong one, Lisa. Oh, the amount of times I've done that. Anyway, okay. My kid 3 will only play hide and seek if I yell. It's my rule. Right, no yelling is your rule, but you said my kid 3 will only play hide and seek if I yell? So they won't play hide and seek if you don't yell? I don't understand what you mean. What's a good consequence? No picking up toys? For no picking up toys. Oh, if they won't pick up toys. So the rule should be pick up 10 toys in 10 minutes. You have to time it, have it measurable. If they won't pick up 10 toys in 10 minutes, then they have to pick up 15 toys in 15 minutes. That's the consequence. If they won't do that, media blackout for 24 hours. Okay? They'll eventually learn. It usually gets worse before it gets better. The funny thing is that kids get that behavior board quicker than the parents do. They'll often start using it. They'll say, you know what I want next week? What I want, like the kids will often start telling the parents what to put on there. They get it. Some kids will even say, if they think their parents are doing something wrong, they'll say, can you ask that lady about that? Can you ask her if that was right, what you just did to me and said to me? They'll actually ask to tell the parents to tell on themselves with me. It's really funny. They get this. This is respect. You give respect to get it. Don't expect us to get it. You got to work for it. It's a two-way street. Oh, when a child misbehaves in daycare, how do you discipline when they are at home? They're only 2 years old. You can't. At 2 years old, under the age of 3, they're toddlers. And that means that you have to use consistent corrective actions right in the moment. You can't say later on, by the way, earlier when you just can't do it. They're in the present moment. By the way, I don't think I've introduced myself yet. I'm on TikTok now. If you want to look at my link above, you'll see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp courses. I have 2 of them now, toddlers and older kids. And you can look into coaching. I have a wait list, but I'll get to you eventually. My daughter and I are working on a podcast. We'll be doing that. I don't want to say when because we're not sure. Hopefully very soon we'll have our podcast out. And we're taking questions for that. It's going to turn up on Instagram. It's a questionnaire. I forgot to mention that when I was on Instagram. Questions that you can, I always forget that word. What is it when you ask a question? If you want to supply me with your questions, what's that called? If you want to, what's that called? When you want to give someone a question to answer. I always forget that word. I just can't remember. Supply me with, it's not that. If you want to give me a question, no, it's not that. What's the word I'm looking for? Anyway, yeah, I'm looking, submit. Thank you, submit. Oh, darn it. Why can I never remember that? Dang. Submit a question. There's another word I can never remember, but I can't remember what that is. Can't remember what it's about. Oh, I know what it was. It was, oh, you don't care. Anyway, crazy. It was duration. I couldn't remember the amount of time, duration. But yeah, and submit. Those are 2 words I have a real problem. I don't know why. There's actually a 3rd one too, and I have no idea. That one doesn't come up very often. Submit a question. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, poll. That's another good word. But yeah, submit. If you want to submit a question for our podcast, feel free to do so. That's on Instagram. I don't know where else she's posting that, but I also think I don't know where she's putting it. I don't know. She does all that. I don't do that. But she did mention it today. Anyway, she showed it to me for me to say, yeah, that looks good, but I never know where it's going. Anyway, but yeah, we'd love to hear your questions. And we'll get to that. The way we're doing the podcast, I think, is we're going to do it sort of more niche. Like it'll be like this podcast is on toddlers. This podcast is on adjusting to school, or this podcast is on bullying. So it's going to be niches, and that'll be really nice because you can pick and choose what's for you. And whereas with these lives, it's different. It's just whatever pops up, right? So anyway, we're really excited about it. We've been working on it for a while. Okay, she's been working on it for a while. She just tells me what to do. She's in charge of all the planning. It's funny. She's written out this huge schedule of what we're doing. I just follow orders. Okay. Can you do one-on-one co-parenting? Can you do one-on co-parenting? Oh, co-parenting. Yeah, you're going to have to submit that. Co-parenting is a tough one. Wonder how many people would want that one. I think you're going to have to submit it where it comes in, like where she's taking that, because we need to know how many people would be interested too. Yeah, I don't know how many people would watch that one. It's a good one though. It'll eventually be done. Like parenting through divorce is another one. I taught a seminar on that once. Never again. The parents turned up together like I told them to do, and they were fighting the whole time. I was disgusted. I never did it again. I'm divorced. We managed to get along. We love our kids. Oh, I was frustrated. Advice on adoption and a kid who seeks attention? Is that adoption? I was adopted, so is it adoption or adaption? I don't know what you would mean by adaption though. Okay. Advice on 2 under 2. It's my least favorite question. When you got 2 really little ones, it's just physical chaos. It's just physical. I can't. It's sort of building blocks for tomorrow. You can deal with certain things, but other times you're just trying to deal with physicality. Changing a diaper, you got like you're holding a dummy in your mouth, trying to change a kid, the other kid's pushing. It's just a lot of physical stuff. So I don't have any general advice for that. It's my least favorite client to get is a mom who has a newborn and a toddler. It's my least favorite client. Because what do I tell them? Pull the baby off your boob and then go pick up the kid who's just climbing on the counter. Like that's not leadership. It's just managing. It's just, physical. But it's temporary. Daycare or no daycare, that's not a question that there's no right answer. Lots of kids love it, and I don't think it's good or bad. I think it's just sometimes some people just want to do it or have to do it. And I don't have an opinion on it. It's like homeschooling. I don't have an opinion on that. I don't have an opinion on co-sleeping. If you want to do it, do it. I hated it. Like our daughter slept in our bed till she was 8 months old. I don't think we had one good night's sleep. We just keep hot potato passing her back and forth. We never slept very well when she was in our arms because we were terrified of smothering her. I don't know how people do it. Anyway, but yeah, I don't have an opinion on whether or not you should do that. If you like doing it, do it. Certain things, I just don't have opinion on. Oh, and homeschooling, that's another one. People say, oh, should we homeschool? If you want to do it, do it. The only problem that I have with homeschooling that I've seen consistently is when those kids are mainstreamed in high school, the other high school students say they can spot a homeschool kid a mile away, and they're often picked on. So make sure that you socialize them with other non-homeschooling kids too. So they can have, I know homeschooling communities can be very, they're really tight-knit communities, but make sure that you branch them out so that they socialize with kids who are not homeschooled, because it is different. And quite a few of my clients actually homeschool. How to deal with jealousy with toddler when new baby comes. Just wait it out. Not much you can do. All the advice people give you, how can you possibly prepare a toddler for what's coming? There's certain things that are just not solvable. You're dealing with toddlers here. They're not figure-outable all the time, and they don't understand reasoning. By the way, there's going to be a newborn coming in. They're going to have a soft spot, and they're very delicate. They're going to be very noisy, pooping, stinking, and taking your mommy and daddy away from you. Are you okay with that? Like, how could they possibly understand that? It's just going to be a transition time. You got to wait it out, but protect that newborn. Don't expect your toddler to understand concussions, throwing babies on the floor. Don't expect them to keep that newborn safe. You watch that toddler like a hawk. Yeah, we have our toddler help us with our newborn. Sometimes that works. Depends on the toddler. Sometimes it doesn't. It just gets them closer to the newborn. They can bite it. So yeah, it's you just won't know until you see. Okay, my rule on the board, the behavior board, this is on YouTube, is no, not to yell. That's right. Parents are always no yelling, but you never put that for the kids. You can't, because that's in the attitude department. You never put attitude on the board for the kids. Unless I break the rule, he won't play with me. Oh, I already read this. Oh, I see. Okay, because you said that before and I didn't understand it. So my rule on the board is to not yell. Now, if you break the rule and you yell, then you play hide and seek. So what she's saying is he won't play hide and seek unless I have to yell. That's actually kind of funny. So I wouldn't worry about it. Just don't play hide and seek. Play tag or something else. That's funny. Is parent talking stern the same as yelling? Yeah. Anything in anger. When you lose it, now you listen here. I would call that yelling. Yeah, that's very bullying. You listen here. Anything like that, I would call that yelling. Any words said in anger, whether or not they're heightened or not, that's yelling. Where do I find the behavior board? It's in the link above. It takes about 15 minutes to arrive in your inbox, by the way. A lot of people say, I didn't get my behavior board. Well, you have to wait about 15 minutes. It's a third-party delivery system or something. I don't know how it works. Three-year-old behaves very well at daycare. You kind of already answered this. Three-year-old behaves very well at daycare, but when he comes home, he wants to be the boss. And what? No, and why? Well, in other words, you're not the boss. You're not the leader. So he has a leader at daycare, and then when he comes home, there's no leader. That's why he decides to do it. Work on your leadership skills. Remember, we're never fixing kids. We're fixing and teaching parents here. So yeah, that's what that says to me. I need advice for myself. How do I keep calm when super frustrated? You just have to fake it till you make it, because it's short-term pain for long-term gain. This reminds me of because I get asked this a lot. How do I control myself? I can't help you with that. You're going to have to just fake it till you make it. It's like years ago, I used to teach fitness, and someone in the gym said to me, I said, well, it's fine once I'm here, but how do I get myself to the gym? Like, is there any support for that? And I'm like, do you want me to drive to your house in the morning, get you out of bed, get you dressed, brush your teeth, and then drive you to the gym? Like, I didn't understand that. I just thought that I didn't understand that. That's your job to fake it till you make it. Okay. It's your job to handle your own frustration. You know, everyone wants their kids to calm down, but if you can't even do it, how do you expect your kids to do it? Remember, leaders lead by example. So just fake it till you make it. Now, I've mentored a lot of troubled teens, and believe me, I got angry sometimes, but I never showed it. You show it, they just won. They know it. They got to you. So I would never show it, ever. And I'd often drive home swearing in the car, hitting the steering wheel. I was so mad. I wouldn't let them see that. No way. Yep, that's your job, is to fake it. Hide it. Do I discipline a 2-year-old for saying I don't like something or someone? I'll just say, okay, whatever. Just ignore it. They'll lean into what works and what gets them attention. They'll lean away from what doesn't. And that's not a big deal. They say, I don't like that. Okay. Like, in other words, who cares? Like, if it's something that they're being kind of snotty about, just go, alrighty. Just sort of brush them off. Oh, if I yell because of danger, should it be considered as breaking the rule? No, that doesn't count. Look out for that bus. That's not yelling. That's like trying to keep them alive. When should teens start cooking for themselves? There's no set rule for that. Some little kids are like 9 years old. They can start making certain things. Yeah, about 9, they can start cooking. But there's no set rule on that, you know. I remember when my son, he got really good at making steak. I remember that he was a teenager, and he'd be at work, and then he'd, on his way home from work late at night, he worked in a furniture store. So he'd be coming home late. He worked the late shift, so he'd get home around 9 or 10 or something. So on his way home, he'd pick up a steak, and then he'd cook it, and we'd just sit and chat, and he just was the best at cooking steaks. So yeah, he was really good at it, better than me, that's for sure. Yeah, they're all different. Some of them will never learn how to cook, and that's okay. I don't really cook. I'm a real health food nut, but I don't really cook. I just steam a lot of vegetables and stuff like that. What's your opinion on sleep training? You mean bedtime battles or sleep training a baby? Bedtime battles with a toddler and up, or sleep training a baby that won't sleep through the night? Two different things. It's ravioli. I'll look for your answer. 4-month-old. Oh, okay. That's your choice. I personally don't like sleep training, but I did it. So I don't really teach it or train it, but I just tell you the only way I know to get a baby to sleep through the night. Although at 4 months old, I don't really want to give you great advice on that, because some people say that you should be waking them up every few hours to feed them. So yeah, it's kind of awkward. But let's say you've got a 10-month-old and you want them to sleep through the night. I did this with both my kids. Didn't take that long. Well, certainly just one night, but I just put them in bed and I said, okay, good night. And they were at the stage where they were pulling themselves up on the side of the crib. And then I'd say good night. And if they woke up in the middle of the night, and I'd go in there, pat them, put them back down, then they'd stand up again and start crying. And I'd walk out of the room, I'd shut the door, and then I'd sit outside their door with a pillow and just sob while they cried. Every 5 minutes I'd go in and I'd go, you're okay. But it was more like this, you're okay. And then I just pat them, put them back down. And it didn't last that long. Did I like doing it? No, I hated it. I thought it was awful. Did I do it? Yeah, because I wanted to sleep through the night. I knew they didn't need to get up, so they didn't need to eat. But a 4-month-old might need to get up and eat. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they say about that. And they keep changing their minds about everything. So I'm not a doctor. So are you supposed to let a 4-month-old sleep through the whole night? Or are you supposed to wake them up every 3 hours and feed them? Did you ever ground your children? No, I don't do grounding. No. And I also didn't do, what's it called? Oh, shoot, what's it called? And a teenager, if they have, they get, what's that, curfew? I didn't have curfew either. Doesn't mean they were out all night. We discussed every night when they were coming home. So they were having a great time. I'd let them stay out longer unless I wanted them to come home. There was no fighting because it was mutual respect. So yeah, I don't believe in curfews or grounding or timeout. They're all too authoritative. I don't do that. But they respect you and they sort of are easy if you're a leader. Like my son was 15 and he was kind of upset when he said this. He says, "You've been a really difficult mom." I thought I was great. I was shocked. I said, "What?" Like we were friends and everything. I said, "What?" And he goes, "Well, I could never rebel because you're too reasonable and easy to talk to." I didn't know whether to applaud or apologize. So I think to his face, I apologized. And then I went and applauded and celebrated away from him. But yeah, when you're a leader, it's just that mutual respect. So they're easy right through the teen years. Doesn't mean they won't have some moods and attitude, but overall, they're not going to do anything. They're not going to get in trouble. Generally. Yeah, homeschooling. I don't have an opinion on that, in that it's a personal choice. It's like religion, breastfeeding till they're 5, Montessori, or alternative schools. I don't have opinions on those. They're personal choices. So there is no right or wrong with any of that. Screen time. There is no set healthy screen time for ages. You know how they say, what's a healthy screen amount of time they should be on screens? No one really knows the answer to that. But there's 3 different ways of managing screen time. 2 of them are okay, but one of them I really like when they get like, I'd say 5, 6, 7 and older. I like this 3rd one. Anyway, up until then, you can probably just have a set amount of time every day they can be on screens, a half hour, an hour, whatever, depending on the age or your comfort level. Or it can be different on weekends too. Or you can have a set time of the day where they can use screens. So it's 7 to 7:30, whatever. Those are the 2 ways that are really common. I wouldn't use either. I prefer the, you give them a certain amount of hours per week. And when they're 5 to 7 years old, they can start doing this. And so let's say they have, 6 to 8 hours a week. And then you keep track of all the minutes and they keep track of when they use those hours. And yeah, they might, if you're not a leader and they think they can manipulate you into getting more, they might use all that time up and binge. And Wednesday, they've got no more time left. So they've got to go Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday with no screens. And you got to follow through and make sure there's no screens. It can be hell to pay. But you think they're going to do it better next week? Yep. Sometimes it's good for, these storms are good. They're good lessons. The biggest lessons are learned through these storms. Everyone wants the rainbow, but you got to be willing to go through the storms to get there, right? So yeah, but you keep track of the minutes that they're on the screens, but then let them go. Let them use up as much as they want. As long as they've done their homework, etc. Anyway, I got to get going. Thanks so much for watching. You can check out my link above. You can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp courses. I have one on toddlers and older kids, and you can look into coaching. I do have a wait list, but I'll get to you eventually. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll talk again soon. Keep your eyes out for my podcast. That's going to be starting soon. I'm doing it with my daughter. The 2 of us. I'm very excited about it. She works with me. She does all my marketing, social media, and she's the planner. I just do what she tells me to do. So I hate planning stuff out. Anyway, thanks so much. We'll talk again soon. Bye now. You're very welcome.